Shen Yunyao, a composite high-tech genius of the 21st century, thought that entering a different world and becoming a rural girl after her death was an accident, but she didn't know that it was all because she was born with a coveted supreme life space artifact that forced her to do so. The adopted daughter from a farming family engages in farming and business all over the world, only to find the truth about her background. The Crown Prince Mu Hanxiao, who was determined to kidnap her as a subordinate, was convinced by her omnipotence and turned her into his daughter. Law. A certain man flattered, daughter. Law, you are truly omnipotent. Io's proud and coquettish face said, that's it, did you just know? There's one thing you can't do. What can't be? I can't live without you. Of course, I can't live without you. Keywords of the novel. Universal Farmer Girl no pop-ups, Universal Farmer Girl TXT Complete Collection Download, Universal Farmer Girl Latest Chapter Reading. Chapter 1. Fake Corpse. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 2. Inverting Black and White. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Inverting Black and White. Shut up. Even if you're pretending to be a corpse, what if you're not even afraid of the dead? Are you still afraid of this? Xiao Qin gave Xiao Feng a contemptuous glare. Fake corpse. Shen Yunyao raised her eyebrows lightly and suddenly remembered her background, but what she had just said seemed to be out of line with her original personality. In order to avoid being noticed, she immediately changed her expression to a pear blossom with rain. Ladies and gentlemen, I am from Xinjiang. When I came to collect herbs before dawn, I accidentally fell off this cliff. I am in pain all over, so I cannot move. Please help me and take me home. My family must have gone crazy looking for me now. Woo-woo. Mu Hanxiao heard the weak woman in front of him chattering incessantly like a kitten, and was very annoyed. He waved his long sleeve and turned to leave, leaving only a clear voice. Xiao Feng sent her away. He said. Xiao Qin frowned slightly and took a deep look at the woman on the ground, closely following his master. Master, if this woman leaks rumors, won't we lose all our previous efforts? Mu Han paused in his footsteps and turned to look at Xiao Qin. If she's really a nail, let's see if she can catch a big fish. Send someone to keep an eye on her in the dark, he said. Master, you are wise. I will go now. Xiao Qin flashed and disappeared. At this moment, Shen Yunyao was still grinding her lips with Xiao Feng, selling all kinds of things miserably, begging him to pick up the bird's nest she saw when he was sent to the cliff. When she was helping Shen Yunyao pick Lingji, she saw dozens of birds' nests on the cliff. At that time, she didn't recognize them and thought they were birds' nests. Now she recalls that it was simply a high-quality nourishing bird's nest, relying on Xiao Feng to help her. Do I owe you anything? It's not bad to send you back, but I'll take a step forward. You say 5 or 5 cents, and I'm not short of this money. How do you think we can agree? Xiao Feng didn't want to bother anymore and scratched the back of his head irritably. Forget it, I'll help you this time. Let's go. Thank you so much. I owe you one favor. If you need my help in the future, I will help you unconditionally once. Shen Yunyao thought to herself, if it weren't for the lack of money at home, she really wouldn't want to be so shameless and rely on others for help. The most troublesome thing is to owe someone a favor. Xiao Feng didn't take these words to heart. He joked that he needed any help from a small village maid. Without saying a word, he picked up Shen Yunyao's back collar and jumped up. In order to avoid encountering the villagers, Xiao Feng sent her to the village and left. She carried 40 birds' nests in her coat and limped to the doorstep based on her memory. Although she has everything here in her memory, it is the first time she has personally experienced such a dilapidated house. Even the most dilapidated rural houses in the 21st century are brick houses. She has never seen a mud wall or thatched roof before. A row of 3 thatched cottages facing north and south, with one small thatched cottage on each end. Half-old bamboo curtains hang from the door frames of each thatched cottage. A small courtyard surrounded by bamboo fences has a fence gate on the south side. On the east side of the courtyard, there is a chicken coop surrounded by a fence wall, with about a dozen chickens. A few chickens stood by the eggs, giggling as if to tell the whole world that they had laid eggs. She walked into the courtyard and saw an apple tree and a pear tree. The two trees have thick trunks and lush branches and leaves. The entire yard is shaded by trees. A cool breeze blew by, but the yard was very cool. There is a water tank next to the south wall of the kitchen in the western cabin. Shen Yunyao felt the sticky and bloody smell on her face. She endured the pain and scooped water from the water tank to wash her face. A small and delicate melon seed face was reflected in the water tank, and Shen Yunyao was quite satisfied as she looked at it in the water mirror. She was already a bit stunning at such a small age, and when she grew up, she should be able to conquer the country and the city. Enough procrastination, we still have to face our family in the end. She straightened her clothes and shouted, "Mom, I'm back." Two identical little donuts stumbled out of the main room. "Sister! Sister!" Two little guys ran to Shen Yunyao's side, each holding one of her legs and shouting happily with their heads up, without noticing anything unusual about her. Shen Yunyao originally thought she would be an outsider even if she came back, but seeing the two little guys so enthusiastic, she couldn't help but be infected and instantly pulled her into the game, as if she had really lived with them for many years. She touched the heads of the two people and said, "Are you good at home? Where is your mother?" Shen Yunjin quickly replied as if showing off, "We are all very well behaved. We were just wiping the table in the main room. My mother is making lunch." Shen Yunhan also nodded along, indicating that what his sister said was true. Shen Yunyao was afraid of standing unsteadily and touching them, so she gently pulled open their arms. "I'll go help my mother cook. You guys go back to your house first. After dinner, I'll make something fun for you." The two little ones obediently had to go back to the house. Opening the bamboo curtain, Shen Yunyao entered the kitchen and saw her mother Lu steaming coarse grain cakes. Shen Yunhao was cooking, and the steamer in the large iron pot on the stove was steaming hot. Lu sure heard her eldest daughter's footsteps and said without looking up, "I haven't been home all morning. Where have I been? It's so hot, I don't know how to bring some water." Listening to Lu's chatter, a warm current flowed through Shen Yunyao's heart. This is the first time she has experienced emotions and felt family affection. In modern times, parents have also nagged like this, and there was no feeling at that time, as if they were born without emotional connections. She has always been very rational. She and others went to the cinema to watch a zombie movie, and everyone in the room cried and shouted, except for her who stood out and remained silent. Scared, people around thought she had turned into a zombie. My godfather told her that if she really can't understand what emotions are, then she should use interests and responsibilities as the criteria for interacting with others. Saying so much without saying a word, if you don't listen, you'll suffer on your own. After Lu finished speaking, she looked up outside the door and suddenly found her daughter lifting her left leg and leaning against the door frame. "Where are you, this golden rooster? What are you doing there? Go back to the house and drink some water." Shen Yunyao wanted to laugh, but couldn't laugh. She couldn't hide her injury and candidly said, "Mom, I'm limping." Lu put down her rolling pin and immediately walked over to her side. She noticed the wound on her forehead and then bent down to lift up her pants legs. "What's going on? How did it get hurt?" Shen Yunyao directly recounted what Shen Yunyan had done, fabricated a white lie about the bird's nest, and reminded Lu and Shen Yunhao not to go to the cliff. After listening to her daughter's experience, Lu Shi's eyes turned red and she said, "Shen Yunyan, who killed 1,000 knives. She's actually going to kill my daughter. Mom, go find her now. Howard, go find Zhang Langzhong. You're in such pain this time, why didn't you cry? You've really grown up. Shen Yunyao was afraid of revealing her true feelings, so she had to find a good excuse for future changes. She hurriedly said, through experience, one can gain wisdom. My daughter used to only know how to cry when faced with problems, weak and incompetent. Through life and death, she realized that only when she has the ability can she face all things with strength. Crying cannot solve problems. Being able to say these words, it seems that you have truly grown. Lu gently touched her head. Shen Yunyao felt sorry for his sister and got up to help her. Sister, don't stand here. I'll help you back to the house first. Lie down first, wait for the doctor to show you. Wait for my younger brother to avenge you. Shen Yunyao said half-jokingly, I can still stand on my own for a while. Let's finish our meal first. Before Shen Yunyao could turn around and return to the house, Zhao Shi grabbed her daughter Shen Yunyan and stormed into the courtyard, only to see Shen Yunyao standing at the kitchen door. Shen Yunyao, you despicable person, just for the sake of a dead object, caused my family's yen to fall down the mountain slope and get injured. You didn't come to apologize and even played the role of a shrinking turtle all morning. Her third aunt, what do you think should be done about this? If it weren't for hearing her own daughter talk about the situation first, Lu would have been really deceived and would have been very angry at this moment. Is that what your daughter told you? My Yaoer said that your daughter took the lingji from Yaoer's hand and kicked her off a cliff. Yao had just crawled back from the brink of death, with injuries on her face and a broken leg. Just cleaned her up. Shen Yunyan glared at Shen Yunyao and exclaimed angrily, what does it mean that I took her lingji? That was originally my lingji. Shen Yunyao looked up and down at Shen Yunyan. At this moment, Shen Yunyan's hair was disheveled, with many leaves sticking to it. Her clothes were also scratched a few times, and the backs of her hands were scratched, making her look like she was rolling on the ground. Shen Yunyao was puzzled. Did someone else, Huang Ke, steal Shen Yunyan's lingji? A person who is afraid of pain even after receiving lingji is not likely to fall down just to falsely accuse her. She thought so and asked directly, Shen Yunyan, it's a fact that you kicked me off the cliff after you got the lingji. I'm lucky that I didn't die, and you're trying to turn black and white around. Do you really want to take out your heart and see if it's black? It's not like someone else stole your lingji, are you like this? Seeing me come back well, now it's on my head again. How did this dead girl guess? Shen Yunyan felt a bit flustered in her heart, but she didn't show it on her face. Shen Yunyan's eyes flickered and she choked her neck, shouting, Shen Yunyao, you're being malicious. You're ignorant of my lingji and talking nonsense. I see you're just evading me, don't talk about those useless things. Hurry up and pay me 2 taels of silver for my medical expenses. Shen Yunyao looked at her anxious and roaring expression, thinking that she might have guessed it right. She squinted her eyes and smiled, saying, okay, I'll give it to you. However, my leg is broken because of you, so you'll have to pay me 10 taels for the medicine. In total, you owe me 8 taels. Bring it. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Compensation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Compensation. Shen Yunyan said impatiently, you have admitted it. If lingji can sell for at least 20 taels, then you still owe me the money to sell lingji. Shen Yunyao stared at Shen Yunyan like a fool. How dare you think? Shen Yunyan was scanned by her and felt uneasy all over. In a fit of anger, she said, what kind of eyes are you looking at? Of course it's the look of a fool. What did I admit? I just looked at you and said that I would give you 2 liang of medical fees. After all, we are also cousins. It's just a matter of doing our best to see you suffer. Shen Yunyan widened her eyes in anger and rushed toward Shen Yunyao, you're playing with me. Lu Shi stood in front of Shen Yunyao and grabbed Shen Yunyan's arm with both hands. What's going on? Our Yaoer broke her leg and it's not enough. What else do you want? How're Go find the clan chief and let him evaluate the situation. Zhao quickly went to stop Shen Yunyao. Shen Yunyao knew he couldn't help here at this moment, and he was also anxious. When he heard his mother's words, he didn't want to run out. He was agile, avoiding the obstruction of the Zhao family, and ran out. Shen Yunyao dared not move anymore. She was afraid that the clan chief would come and see through everything. Shen Changkai, the 45-year-old head of the Shen family, is a talented and upright person. 2 years ago, he passed the imperial examination but did not continue his studies due to illness. What filthy matter has nowhere to hide from him? The entire village is almost surnamed Shen, and the villagers are very convinced by the clan leader. The clan chief is in charge of the entire village. At this time, many villagers have gathered outside the courtyard fence to watch the excitement. A few villagers are still squatting on the doorstep of the courtyard, holding bowls and eating while watching. They were the first to come, and when they saw Zhao rushing towards this side in anger, they followed behind. Seeing the owner of the small courtyard arguing and turning to violence, many villagers began to cheer up. Little Swallow, you didn't say it clearly before you started. Are you feeling angry and frustrated? Are you feeling guilty? What? The swallows are trying to seek justice for themselves. Xiaoyao, where did you pick Lingji? Hurry up and tell us too. Let's make money together. The scene was chaotic for a moment. Shen Yunyao saw the Lu hen protecting herself like a chick, but she stopped moving forward. She leaned over and poked her head out, asking, Shen Yunyao, do you have any evidence that I am ignorant of Lingji? I don't have Lingji at home. Who knows where you hid the Lingji? Even if it's not at your house, it's somewhere else. Maybe you even sold it to someone else. Shen Yunyao was speechless. Everyone, like you, is suspicious and guessing recklessly. Where else can justice be found in the world? Then I said you were robbed of Lingji and blamed on me, or you were afraid that I would sue you for harming me after selling Lingji, so you came to overturn the blame. She felt that she couldn't reason with Shen Yunyao, and it was a waste of words to reason with a lying fairy, let alone this lying fairy who was still pushing hard. Since that's the case, let's wait for the clan leader to come. Chief Shen also arrived quickly, and Shen Yunyao met him halfway to his house. Villagers should go find him first. This saves some time. Dr. Zhang has also come. His family is an outsider, so when buying a house, they can only buy one from the village, which is close to here. After encountering the clan chief, Shen Yunyao went to him to help his sister with her injuries, hoping to see them in public so that Shen Yunyao could not argue. As soon as Shen Yunyao saw the clan chief come in, her eyes furrowed and she shook off Lu's hand. She quickly knelt down and cried, Clan chief, you must be the one who makes the decision for Yen. She took my Lingji and even pushed me down the mountain slope. I don't know if she sold or hid the Lingji. Shen Yunyao came out from behind the Lu family and did not kneel down. She approached and explained the details of the incident. Shen Yunyao felt a little anxious in her heart, wishing she could immediately convict Shen Yunyao. Clan leader, it is a fact that I took Shen Yunyao to collect Lingji. Anyway, she must compensate me. You must be fair. Even if his father is in the army, you cannot be biased. Chief Shen's heart was filled with fire. When will he handle it differently from person to person? He has always been right about things, not people. This girl is simply throwing dirty water at him. Today, this matter still needs to follow the rules, emphasizing the presence of both personal and material evidence. Otherwise, he would have been scolded by someone pointing his nose at him for years. After pondering for a while, he said, You each have your own opinions. It's difficult to judge. What was just said was also somewhat vague. From the third nephew's family, borrow the hall. Yunyao, please come with me to the hall first. I'll ask carefully. Yunyao will wait in the courtyard for now. I'll let you in later, and then you can enter. For the sake of her daughter's innocence, there is nothing else that Lu Shi cannot do, just cooperate unconditionally with everything. She quickly said, just go ahead, the clan leader. Hao will boil hot water and pour a bowl of water for the clan leader. She beckoned Zhang Zhongzhong to follow and picked up Shen Yunyao into the east room. Zhang Langzhong felt Shen Yunyao's pulse and examined the wound. His eyebrows furrowed slightly and he said, my forehead is bruised and there is a little blood in my brain. Taking some medicine won't hurt. I'm afraid my leg is broken, so I'll connect it. I'll just lie down for over 2 months and it'll be fine. Lu felt like a stone had fallen to the ground in her heart. Could you please tell the clan leader about this injury later? Just tell him the truth. It's a witness. How much does it cost this time? Dr. Zhang understood and wrote a prescription for Zhang and handed it to Mrs. Lu. Okay, let Yunyao use this prescription to take 5 pairs of medicine. After 5 days, we will have a follow-up visit. The diagnosis fee is 5 won, and the medicine fee is 40 won. The sound of Shen clan chief calling Shen Yunyao to go over echoed in the courtyard. Lu directly picked up her daughter and went to the hall. Zhang Langzhong also followed and told the clan leader about Shen Yunyao's injuries. Shen Yunyao caught a glimpse of Shen Yunyan, who had just left the house, trembling all over and looking lost in thought. She thought to herself that this person might not have been exposed. The clan chief asked Lu to go out, and also asked Zhang Langzhong to diagnose Shen Yunyan by the way. Not long after, Shen Yunyao came out. The clan leader called several villagers to enter one after another, and also had people call people from other villages. After asking these people, Chief Shen stood still in the courtyard and loudly announced the result. Jing Zai asked both parties in detail, and the process was as follows. Shen Yunyan took Shen Yunyao up the mountain to pick Lingji. Shen Yunyao first picked Lingji. Shen Yunyan took Lingji and kicked Shen Yunyao. Shen Yunyao fell off a cliff, broke his leg, and was seriously injured. On the way down the mountain, Shen Yunyan ran into 2 second-rate villagers from another village and was stripped of Lingji. She was also kicked down the slope and fainted, suffering minor injuries. She concealed the truth from her mother Zhao and pushed the matter onto Shen Yunyao. Shen Yunyan, due to your mistake, Shen Yunyao broke her leg. You will be fined 1 or 2 silver to compensate her. If you violate the 3rd rule of the clan rules, you must not harm the clan members. You will be fined to copy the clan rules in the temple 100 times. Accept the punishment. Zhao must pay today. Little Huzi will take Shen Yunyan to the temple. Let's all scatter. Xiao Huzi's name is Shen Yunhu, and he is the eldest grandson of the clan leader. He is 12 years old and follows behind the clan leader. When he hears his grandfather speak, he quickly goes to Shen Yunyan's side. Zhao was crying and grabbing the ground, sitting on the ground patting her legs. Are you still not letting anyone live? Where can I get 1 or 2 silver at home? I can't keep 1 or 2 for the whole year. Shen Yunyao didn't want to see such a person. She howled like someone owed her a lot of money, and couldn't help but stand up and say a few words. Is auntie joking? Last month, Shen Yunyan and I dug up a small ginseng plant in the back mountain. Your family sold it for at least 5 taels of silver. You only gave our family 31. How could you run out of money? Zhao's crying continued. The silver has been handed over to the private school in town for your elder cousin. Where is there any money left? Shen Yunyan raised her hand and covered her eyes. Isn't this self-deprecating? A private school. Not attending ethnic studies, go to a private school in the town. He doesn't know yet. I think this has happened in the past few days. It seems that they have a rich family background. Zhao didn't tell the truth. As soon as Chief Shen thought of this, he became impatient and argued, go home and get the money. If you don't get the money, you'll take your family's land as collateral. No, I'll go get it. Zhao dared not play tricks anymore, afraid that the clan leader would change his mind. Shen Yunyan's face was pale, but her eyes were fierce. She approached Shen Yunyao, and in her ear, only two people could hear her say, "Wait. I won't make you feel better." Then she followed Huzi out. Shen Yunyao ignored her as air. In Shen Yunyao's view, anyone who speaks harshly is because their skills are inferior to those of others. Anyway, there's no internet here, no TV dramas or movies to watch. Occasionally encountering such strange creatures to cause trouble can also be considered a seasoning of life. She is too outstanding in modern times, and her life is smooth sailing without encountering any quirks. Of course, she is used to robots and only needs to give commands, rarely encountering conflicts between people. Encountering such a thing can also make one's head spin. Except for the mistake of being bombed on the plane in the end. I often walk by the river, where can I not keep my shoes wet? That was her first and last wet shoe in modern times. Chief Shen and Zhao returned home to collect money, handed it over to Shen Yunyao, and comforted him a few more words before leading the way out. The villagers have also gone out one after another. There are only my own family left in the yard. Shen Yunyao suddenly remembered why the two little puddings at home hadn't appeared just now, and quickly shouted, "Han Han, Zhen Zhen, where are you?" End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Qiankun Pearl. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Qiankun Pearl. A baby voice came from the hall, "Sister, come find us." Originally, the two little bean cubes were a bit scared when they saw the crowd in the yard, so they hid directly. Shen Yunyao sat under the shade of apple trees in the yard, curling her lips. In her past life, she had always had an iceberg face and rarely smiled. There is nothing that can stir her heart and make her feel any emotions. She was probably like a high-end robot at that time. She has only been here for so long, and she has a slight feeling of the emotions that a living person should have. Well, this feeling is pretty good. You guys hide it. We haven't had lunch yet, and we're all hungry. We need to eat now. The two little people quickly ran out and sat next to Shen Yunyao. We also need to eat. Shen Yunyao gave each of the three people a piece of coarse grain cake. Shen Yunyao looked at the cake and couldn't take a bite. I have never eaten such a black and hard cake before. Ah, I took a bite, it really hurts my throat. I can't take it anymore, I need to make money quickly and buy some white noodles. She has never mistreated herself in this material life. After finishing his meal, Shen Yunyao went to fetch the medicine from Dr. Zhang and boiled it for his sister. Shen Yunyao lay on the bed in the east room, pondering the current situation. There isn't much big income at home, just a small profit from selling eggs. Although the family has been separated for a long time, my father's salary is divided equally between my parents every month. My mother doesn't have much money left in her hand, just enough paper and ink money for Yunyao to study at the clan level. She needs to have her mother sell the bird's nest. This way, we can still have more leisure. The most important thing is that she also needs silver needles to give acupuncture and moxibustion to her legs so that she can get better quickly. In modern times, she has systematically studied herbs and acupuncture and moxibustion for developing intelligent medical robots. Shen Yunyao called Lu Shi to share her thoughts. Lu was surprised, can this bird's nest really sell for money? Shen Yunyao couldn't help but laugh and cry. Mother, this is bird's nest, a tonic. Rich people love to eat this. When I went to town before, I heard a passerby say something. That should be a wealthy man's servant buying this thing at a pharmacy. In her memory, she did go to the town and met a servant who bought bird's nest. At that time, she didn't know what bird's nest was. Lu felt relieved and said, "Okay, I'll go early tomorrow. I'll sell it earlier to save trouble." Shen Yunyao said, "I didn't hear anyone say how much bird's nest costs last time. My mother took 6 cups to the pharmacy to ask. The 6 cups weigh about 1 or 2 times. Don't tell them we still have them. Next time, we'll go to different pharmacies to sell." This way, we'll know how much bird's nest we can sell at most. This bird's nest is almost devoid of impurities and should be of high quality, with very few. Even if it were sold to a family, they would think it was discovered by chance. Before picking, Shen Yunyao did not expect this bird's nest to be of such good quality, and now he cannot let others discover that he has too much, so as not to let people investigate the source. Lu happily said, "You're still smart. I was thinking of bringing them all. Io has really grown up." Today, she remained calm and didn't cry. Now she's still thinking about this kind of way. It's great. Shen Yunyao lowered her head slightly, making people look shy. At this moment, Shen Yunyan was kneeling in the ancestral hall, recalling what had happened that morning. She always felt strange, and she couldn't figure out where to blame. Suddenly, an inspiration flashed through her mind, and she realized something was wrong. Shen Yunyao didn't cry today. Shen Yunyao used to cry whenever she encountered something. Today, she thought that after arriving there, she would take advantage of Shen Yunyao's uncontrollable crying and convict her, and it was only natural for her to demand compensation. But today Shen Yunyao didn't cry and still argued with reason, which disrupted the rhythm and caught her off guard. When did Shen Yunyao change? She surprisingly stopped crying. Shen Yunyan's whole face twisted, revealing a sinister smile, appearing particularly terrifying in the dim ancestral hall. Whether she cries or not, it won't make her feel better. Even if she doesn't cry, make her cry. Shen Yunjin and Shen Yunhan, who had woken up from their nap, came to the east room to find Shen Yunyao. "Sister, didn't you tell us to have fun?" "Yes, sister, what's fun about it?" Shen Yunyao was half lying in bed and asked, "Do you know the bamboo dragonfly?" Two little guys shook their heads. She was certain that there was no such thing here, so she asked the two little ones to find 2 thin sticks and 2 small pieces of wood, and then get a small knife. "When my dad is at home, he always does his own woodworking and furniture making it easy to find what he needs." Shen Yunyao quickly made the bamboo dragonfly and showed them how to play. The two little ones ran to play with bamboo dragonflies with satisfaction. Shen Yunyao was idle and bored when she saw several white stones the size of thumbs on the bedside table. The sunlight shone through the open window on the stone, and the surface of the stone was faintly covered with a thin halo. "What material is this stone? I haven't seen it before." She also has research on various rocks in modern times, just to find suitable materials to make robot parts. She believes that there are unknown metal elements in nature waiting to be discovered by humans. She grabbed a stone, lifted it up, looked up, and accidentally missed it, causing it to fall and hit her neck. In an instant, the room was shining brightly. Shen Yunyao was a bit confused, looking down to see the pearl she was carrying shining, and it was next to the white stone. The white stone gradually turned gray until it turned into a bluish-gray residue. "What's going on? Master?" Shen Yunyao suddenly heard a child voice and was startled. "Who?" "Master, I am in the Qiankun pearl. I am the spirit of the Qiankun pearl. After helping you break the void here, I fused the secondary pearl under the cliff, exhausted my spiritual power and fell into a deep sleep. I just woke up after absorbing a top-quality spirit stone. Are you my godfather's pearl? Why do you call me master? No, you have been my master from beginning to end. Others can only use it temporarily with your permission. Now, when your godfather temporarily uses the space within the Pearl River, he has built a fully functional modern city for you. Of course, there are no people in the space, only robots." Shen Yunyao fell silent. It seemed that her arrival here was not accidental. "The godfather may know the reason. Can I go in?" "No, I haven't fully recovered yet and will fall into a deep sleep afterwards. I need at least 100 top-quality spirit stones to temporarily enter the space for my master's spiritual consciousness. Before I fully recover, my master's spiritual power will continue to improve in order to gradually control the entire space." Shen Yunyao felt a bit helpless. Isn't everyone else's space in the novel all about Lingquan or something, helping the owner? Why does she have to rely on her to pick up stones in her own home space? Qi Ling probably felt Shen Yunyao's resentment and quickly defended himself, saying, there are villas, hospitals, supermarkets, various shops, factories for manufacturing goods, planting fields, orchards, etc. in the space. The things in the space are all stored in various types of storage spaces. There is no need to worry about shelf life and loss even if the quantity is large. The custodian is particularly intelligent, forging a spiritual tool that can convert spiritual energy into electrical energy. All electrical appliances in the space can be used. How is it going? Heartbeat, right, what about the heartbeat? It's not like holding on to Jinshan can't be used. Wait, Godfather can actually forge spiritual weapons. Hiss, what's going on? Before she could figure it out, Qiankun Zhu interrupted her train of thought. Cough cough, don't think so. If you can discover one of these spirit stones, you can discover more. Take the remaining few as well. Where did this spirit stone come from? Come and have more. She also forgot what she was about to think about earlier, while feeding the Qiankun pearl with the spirit stone and recalling the source of the spirit stone. This stone seems to have been picked up by the river in its original form. At that time, looking at the white stone, she liked it very much and picked it up. There seemed to be quite a few by the river. It seems that the task of picking stones is easy to complete. Shen Yunyao called over her younger brothers and sisters who were playing in the courtyard, asking them to wait for the weather to cool down and help pick up white stones by the river. She also reminded the older brother to take good care of his younger brothers and sisters. Picking up white stones is very simple. After listening to their sister's words, they immediately went. They picked up 2 small backpacks this afternoon. Shen Yunyao checked the 2 small baskets and found out about 100 yuan. However, the Qiankun pearl discovered that there are only over 50 top-quality spirit stones here, and the rest are medium-quality spirit stones. Shen Yunyao wondered, sister, what are you doing with this stone? She also couldn't explain, don't ask so many questions, just pick it up. Sister has her own uses. When we had dinner, our brothers and sisters were all tired, and eating coarse grain cakes and vegetable congee felt like delicious food. Shen Yunyao thought to herself that relying on these 3 little ones was not enough. Don't get tired and let more children help pick them up. She needs to open up the space as soon as possible. She really wants to eat modern food and can't eat these throat-piercing hard coarse grain cakes. When she waited for her mother to collect the dishes, she said, Mother will sell out the bird's nest tomorrow. When you come back, buy 2 bags of candy. Okay. What are you doing with so many stones? Shen Yunyao knew that more people would ask, but she had already figured out a reason. I think if we have money in the future, we can build a few brick and tile houses and build a pool in our yard. The white stones will be laid at the bottom of the pool. It must be very beautiful. We need to save these stones early. Lu smiled and said, you really think? I don't know how much it can sell for. Mom, don't limit yourself to how much money you can think of. Let them bid first when the time comes. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Introduction to Spatial Cities. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Introduction to Spatial Cities. The next morning, Lu prepared breakfast for the children, wrapped the bird's nest in clean linen, and went out. Lu spent 2 when riding a cart from the village to the town and went directly to Baohe Hall, where she had previously bought medicine. At this time, there are not many people seeking medical treatment in Baohetang. She went to the counter and asked the pharmacy assistant if they could accept medicinal herbs here. The guy said it depends on the quality of the medicine, he needs to ask the shopkeeper. Not long after, Lu and others arrived at the shopkeeper. A middle-aged man with a mustache, dressed in a blue cotton cloth robe, walked up to Lu Shi and said, I am the shopkeeper, surnamed Yang. Madam, what is your surname? What medicine do you want to sell? My husband's surname is Shen, shopkeeper Yang. This medicine is valuable. Let me take a step to speak. Shopkeeper Yang took Lu to the main hall in the backyard to entertain guests. Lu carefully placed the package he was carrying on a table and opened it. Manager Yang leaned up and said, "Is this bird's nest?" He carefully lifted the bird's nest and examined it. This bird's nest has fewer impurities and a good appearance. How much does Madame Shen plan to sell it for? Lu thought to herself, fortunately, her eldest daughter had already reminded her to take good care of her while riding the ox cart, otherwise the bird's nest would have been broken into pieces. I used to come to your store to buy medicine, which was affordable and of good quality. I think the shopkeeper is also a real person, and he definitely wouldn't deceive me, an ignorant woman. Can you tell me the real price? Shopkeeper Yang sighed. This woman is really good, making him feel embarrassed to say too low a price. We can give you a maximum of 2 taels of silver per tael here. If you really can't accept it, you can also go to another house to ask. It's probably not much higher than my house. Lu thought to herself that the price was still acceptable and decided to sell it. Manager Yang chuckled and said, "Madam Shen, if you still have goods of this quality, feel free to bring them with confidence. More is better." After receiving the silver and goods, Lu walked out of Baohetang and went to the grain and oil store to buy white noodles and sugar. She didn't return home until noon. Shen Yunyao and her younger brother and sister had just finished their vegetable soup and pancakes. The 3 of them were sitting in the yard, chatting under the shade of an apple tree. Lu stuffed 2 packets of sugar into Shen Yunyao's hand and said, "The sugar you wanted, the bird's nest was sold for 2 taels of silver." Shen Yunyao estimated the purchasing power here and felt that the price was also reasonable. "Mom, we have a total of 40. We'll sell 20.4 more tomorrow, and we'll eat the remaining 10 ourselves. Let's make up for it as a whole. Let's take a look at each of us with a yellow complexion and thin skin. Making money is not just about food and clothing. Making up for it helps keep our bodies healthy and saves money." Lu couldn't bear to part with it. 10 bowls were worth nearly 2 or 2 yuan. We can sell them and buy meat to make up for it. After all, pork is only 20.51 per kilogram. Then keep 4. Since we have this thing, let's try it ourselves. Shen Yunyao had to compromise. "Okay, that's settled then. You can earn an additional 10 taels now. You are a big hero in the family. Mom will go and cook a bowl of bird's nest for you, just to make up for it. How can we make this bird's nest? Remove the feathers from the bird's nest, soak them in cold water, wash them clean, and then add some water to boil." Lu took a bird's nest and went out. Shen Yunyao called his elder brother and asked him to find reliable children in the village to help pick up white stones. He gave 2 candies for every 100 yuan he picked up. As long as you specify the white stone, don't do anything else. Yesterday, some of the stones my younger siblings picked up were not spirit stones at all. Shen Yunyao looked bitter and said, "Sister, didn't we do well yesterday? Why did someone else pick it up and return the candy?" "Of course, it's because I want to enter the space early and take a look, but I can't say that." Shen Yunyao pinched his face and said, "I'm not afraid you're tired. Don't pick it up today, just watch them pick it up, so they won't make mistakes. Each of you has 2 candies. Take this bag. There should be 30 or 40 candies in this bag. Shouldn't that be enough?" So it was. Shen Yunyao felt anxious and said, "That's enough, thank you, sister." He took the sugar bag into his arms and ran out. The villagers washing clothes by the river saw a strange sight, and a group of children were picking up white stones by the river. Shen Gaoxiong, the only son of Shen Yunyao's second grandfather, married the Shi family from the neighboring village of Shizhuang. She has always had a broken mouth in the village and curiously asked the children, "Why are you picking up this stone?" The children don't care what this stone is for, as long as it can be exchanged for sugar to eat. They all answer that they don't know, it can be exchanged for sugar. So, sure, and the people who washed clothes together speculated that this stone might be a rare treasure, and no one had ever discovered its usefulness before. This afternoon, there were rumors in the village that the eldest daughter of Shen Yunyao family had discovered that this stone was a treasure and began to purchase it. After dinner, Shen Yunyao was very happy to see the baskets of spiritual stones in her room. 13 baskets of spirit stones, far exceeding 1,000. Master, don't be too happy too early. Not all the baskets here are top-quality spirit stones. I saw many mid-range ones on the top layer. Being splashed with cold water, Shen Yunyao didn't lose interest. Then quickly absorb it and see if it's enough. She said the Qiankun pearl has recovered a little bit, and there is no need for Shen Yunyao to wait for it to absorb one by one. In an instant, all the spirit stones in the basket have been absorbed. Master, the spirit stone is enough for me to recover a bit. However, if I can pick more, I will pick more. Shen Yunyao was also speechless enough. Zhu, why are you so busy? I'll pretend I don't have space, and I don't need to collect any spiritual stones anymore. Besides being used for power generation, spirit stones can also be used by the master for cultivation in the future. By the way, master, you can now enter the space with divine consciousness. Qiankun felt that he couldn't make the master feel useless and had to give some sweetness. Can't we physically enter? After the fusion of the main and secondary beads in the space, they have not yet fully integrated with the master's soul. The master must cultivate spiritual power, and only when the spiritual power is strong can they freely enter and exit the space. The library in the classical architecture area here has cultivation techniques. Oh, yes, the owner's spiritual power is not enough, so he can't read it now. I will pass on the cultivation method of spiritual power to the master. Shen Yunyao suddenly noticed the content of spiritual cultivation techniques in her mind. Now she doesn't know if she should be angry. Why is her space a pit? Didn't she take the farming script? How did you start cultivating immortals? Anyway, she first looks at the space to see if there is a city like what Qiankun said. She closed her eyes, thought a thought, and when she opened her eyes again, everything in front of her made her think she had returned to modernity. At this moment, she is standing at the intersection of Cement Road Street, looking around. The buildings on the street resembled the central commercial district of the city, with shopping malls, large supermarkets, hospitals, and car shops. It's just empty and empty. Of course, this architectural complex only has these two long streets, which can be considered a micro-city. Master, in space, you can go anywhere with just one thought. Shen Yunyao silently recited in the shopping mall, and with a flash of scenery around her, she appeared in the mall, including international clothing stores, branded handbag stores, fashion jewelry stores, home appliance stores, and so on. All products available on the market, including online stores, are of good quality, whether they are tools or finished products. In addition to these finished products, she also saw various processing factories nearby. Godfather, have you emptied the world? I'm so happy. With so many things to use casually, I'll have to use them for several lifetimes. Master. In order to balance resources, these things were also exchanged by your godfather from the space. However, you can't use them casually now because your divine sense is too weak. At most, you can take a needle out now. Shen Yunyao was already prepared for being hit, and after listening, she didn't feel so disappointed. Sure enough, it's better for people to work hard and make progress. There are so many things in the world where pies fall from the sky. Even if the pie falls off, it will take some effort to catch it. The entire space looks at least the size of a medium-sized city. These modern architectural complexes are built on a plain, with a small stream not far away. On the opposite bank of the stream is a mountain, which seems to come out of the mountain and encircles the mountain halfway. On the other side of the mountain, this is a classical architectural complex. Shen Yunyao stared at the river water with bright eyes and asked, is this spiritual water in the river? The kind that can wash tendons, cut marrow, and treat diseases. The pearl was floating beside her and sneered, Master, you've been overthinking it. As a severely damaged artifact, it's not easy for this place to still hold so much. The river water is ordinary water, it used to be spiritual water, but the spiritual energy has already been consumed. There was no legendary spiritual spring, and Shen Yunyao was also quite regretful. She continued to stroll and see if she could find any treasures from the immortal family. The classical architectural complex consists of wooden pavilions and towers, with an exquisite and elegant courtyard, a 3-story library, and a dedicated yard for refining alchemy. There is also a room of elixirs in the alchemy courtyard, which can be eaten by cultivators as well as ordinary people. She was tempted when she saw the bone continuation pill that ordinary people could use. Is this medicine so powerful and won't have any side effects? Looking at the back-end data, many people don't look back much after seeing this. I sincerely hope that the guest can take a look back. When writing a novel for the first time, some chapters may not be well written, but there are beautiful chapters that follow. I have seen some authors in the book review section say that the book is not good. Looking, but that book has a collection of hundreds of thousands and a reward of tens of thousands. Sincerely envious. If only there were so many people subscribing to favorites. If you are scolded in the future, please remind me to come here and take a look at this passage. Once upon a time, I was extremely eager for hundreds of thousands of subscription collections. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Making Ice Cream. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Making Ice Cream. Zhu felt her thoughts and mocked her for a moment, then explained that the elixirs that ordinary people eat here only have less spiritual energy than those of cultivators, and have better efficacy than ordinary medicines. So she relied heavily on Zhu's newly restored spiritual power to help her bring out the bone continuation pill. Her legs are really hurting, and there is only a glimmer of hope that she can recover quickly. She also wants to grab them. She went to another area for a stroll and saw many robots she designed and made. Only then did she leave the space, take the bone continuation pill, lie in bed, and fall asleep deeply. In the morning, Shen Yunyao woke up and found that her legs were completely healed. She looked surprised. It seemed that those things about cultivating immortals were not deceiving people. In order not to be exposed, she had to lie in bed pretending to be bored and started trying the techniques she had learned yesterday. Shen Yunyao tried the technique in her mind and quickly settled down. When Shen Yunyao brought her breakfast, she finally woke up and felt refreshed in the moment she woke up. Sister, let's have dinner. The child who helped us pick up stones yesterday asked me if our family bought white stones. How does his family calculate the cost of picking up stones? But I never said that our family bought white stones. Shen Yunyao said to herself that either someone is spreading rumors, or the people in this village really have a keen sense of business. You can let them pick it up, just say that one basket of designated stones costs 1 won. Find someone to collect saltpeter, which is also 1 basket and 1 won, 2 baskets a day. Tell them that anyone who mixes other stones will not be collected from this person in the future. She remembers that the tribe would use saltpeter to make ice and sell ice until summer. In the mountains to the north of the village, there is a nitrate waste mine that has been left unexplored. Clan people often go to pick up scattered leftover saltpeter. The elderly in the clan always tell their people about the history of the Shen family. The Shen family of Shenjiapa is a branch of the legitimate lineage of the Shen family in the capital city, and some of the things they know are brought from the capital city. They came here over 300 years ago to mine saltpeter and gradually settled down here. Originally, they lived a relatively prosperous life by selling saltpeter to their own family. Since the completion of nitrate mining over 200 years ago, our family has refused to relocate, and our people have been unable to return to the capital. They can only stay here, their lives are becoming increasingly difficult, and most of them rely on farming for a living. Now in the village, only the central ancestral hall and a few households have brick and tile houses. The houses built around the middle are either stone and adobe houses or adobe thatched houses. She is currently short of money, and although she has to show that her legs cannot move, her hands can still make ice, but she needs to make ice products that are different from those made by her ethnic group. Shen Yunyao received Shen Yunyao's words and left home to spread the news after she finished eating and tidied up the dishes. Shen Yunyao called Lu Shi and expressed her idea of making ice cream. Upon hearing this, Lu Shi thought it was feasible. Originally, her family often made ice in the summer. The grid mold is easy to handle. Shen Yunyao's father often does woodworking at home and has woodworking tools at home. For a hands-on person, making over a dozen wooden ice cream molds is no problem. Shen Yunyao told Lu how to make mung bean ice cream, red bean ice cream, glutinous rice ice cream, fruit ice cream, etc. If it weren't for the lack of cows in the village, she would still want to add milk to the ice cream. Do as you please. This morning Shen Yunyao was busy making the ice cream mold, and Lu Shi also cooked several congee for standby. Shen Yunyao's promotion was in place, and by noon, someone had already sent 2 baskets of saltpeter and 5 baskets of spirit stones. In the afternoon, the family woke up and started busy making ice cream. In the summer, the ancestral hall is very cool. Shen Yunyao took advantage of no one to monitor and sat on the cattail, tapping and kneading her knees. Yen girl. A familiar and deep voice sounded at the entrance of the temple. Aunt-air. Why did you come? I met the villagers in the town and heard about you. Your second uncle asked me to come back and see you as soon as possible. He said that you are still young and it's not a big deal to make a mistake at the moment. The clan leader is really troublesome. You just need to make changes in the future, and you really shouldn't kneel in the ancestral hall. Shen Yunyan's eyes lit up as soon as she heard it. She didn't want to kneel in the ancestral hall either. Does Uncle Air have a way to plead for her? She has always admired Uncle Air the most. After all, Uncle Air has always lived in the town and there is a grocery store there, which is the most promising in the family. Auntie, are you and Uncle going to plead for me? But the clan leader has never changed his mind. Oh, well, my face isn't that big either. However, the ancestral hall is cool and staying for a few days is also a way to escape the heat. I bought you some pastries in town, hurry up and have some. Shen Yunyao felt a bit regretful, but upon hearing something to eat, she became happy again and said, I know. Thank you, Auntie. Yen girl, you are a good child. Unlike Yunyao, who always cries and fusses when encountering something, even small things are considered big things. She is just a broom. Encountering her is not a good thing. That Lingji was originally left for you by your second uncle, otherwise someone wouldn't have told you this news. I thought you would get a dowry after selling medicinal herbs this time. Alas, I didn't expect it to be like this. Yen girl, you're too kind a child. You didn't catch anything and took advantage of that little slut. Shen Yunyao was confused and said, Auntie, what do you mean? Why did the little slut take advantage? TSK, I heard your third aunt went to the town pharmacy to sell bird's nest and made a lot of money. You said where did this bird's nest come from? Didn't you get it together on the cliff that day? You told them about medicinal herbs, but they didn't tell you about bird's nest. Shen Yunyao widened her eyes in disbelief. She fell off a cliff and could still pick bird's nest. This is still something she helped her discover. She also forgot her thoughts at that time, but she wanted to spend the money on selling medicinal herbs alone. Auntie, you're right. That little slut is really cunning. I want to get even with her. Is there a good way for Auntie? Qian coughed lightly and said, not yet. She's not very old, so we can't discuss marriage yet. You should take a look at what she does every day and let me know when the time comes so that we can find opportunities. However, it has been agreed upon first. Entair is here to help you. Don't push me on if you have anything to do then. If that's the case, I don't care. Shen Yunyao smiled and coquettishly said, "Good second auntie, you treated me the best." How could I say that? It was originally what I wanted to do. Thank you second auntie first. Alright, you can eat first. Entair has to hurry back to town and leave first. Shen Yunyao looked at the closed door, her eyes clearly extinguished, and her mind firmly determined to deal with Shen Yunyao. The first batch of ice cream made by Shen Yunyao's family was still frozen hard the next morning. Lu laid an old blanket on the big bamboo basket, put the ice cream box inside and wrapped it, and let the eldest son carry the small bamboo basket to hold the remaining bird's nest. The two of them went to the town together. Shen Yunyao stayed at home to take care of the children and made ice cream sticks. The sun is halfway up, and the sky is getting hotter and hotter. There are still over a dozen ice creams left at home. Shen Yunyao divided 2 mung bean ice creams for her younger brother and sister, and she also held one in her mouth. My younger brother and sister got ice cream and ran away without a trace. Shen Yunyao thought to herself that she could finally get out of bed and walk, lying in bed with bones rustling. Not long after, there was a strange voice in the yard, "Is there anyone at home?" End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Popular Ice Cream. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Popular Ice Cream. Someone, who is it? Shen Yunyao sighed, unable to move, it's really troublesome. As soon as she finished speaking, a little girl dressed in a pink coarse cloth dress stormed in. Who is you? Suddenly, such a person came in, and Shen Yunyao couldn't extract any information from her mind for a while. What's going on? Why are you still lying in bed when I come? My brother doesn't like lazy pigs. Don't you have ice cream at home? The girl sat rudely on the chair by the bed, looking impatient. She went to see Zhang Langzhong to treat her own mother, and saw Shen Yunyao's younger brother and sister eating ice cream at Zhang's house. She even said it was homemade, so she came over to ask for ice cream to eat. Hurry up and give me a few to try. My brother has been suffering from heatstroke today, and you don't know how to bring some ice cream. Even if you can't bear to give it, tell me how to do it and I'll make it myself when I go home. Oh, this tone is so natural. Shen Yunyao's face turned black. After listening to the girl's clattering, she also remembered who this was. This girl is Li Lan, the younger sister of Li Xiucai, who used to be her crush on flowers. Li Jing is a migrant worker who moved in 3 years ago. He only has his widowed mother Zhang and a 5-year-old sister at home. Last year, at the age of 14, he passed the scholar entrance examination. He is handsome, fair, and thin, which is very popular among the little girls in the village. There were many people secretly trying to please Li Lan because of Li Jing, but she was the only one who was as humble as Shen Yunyao before. This world is similar to the ancient world in many aspects, even the imperial examination system exists. The clan leader once publicly said that 500 years ago, heaven and earth underwent changes and spiritual energy was depleted. Soon after, a group of extraordinary people emerged in the states of Qiankun, Ding, and Xing. Since then, some national systems have undergone changes. The decline and seclusion of the cultivator clan weakened their influence on the secular court. The 4 major families, Shen Yuan, Ji, Zhou, and Mu, who respectively controlled the 4 countries, were once aristocratic families of cultivation. All families attach great importance to extraordinary people. In order to control the entire country and suppress various small aristocratic families, the Mu family of Xinghua employed a humble family and adopted the imperial examination system, as described by the legendary figure. Nowadays, the trend of reading and taking the imperial examination is prevalent. Readers have become the envy of everyone. It is difficult for a scholar to pass the exam. Li Jing was one of the 5 scholars who passed the imperial examination in the entire county back then, which shows his intelligence. Zhang and Li Lan looked down upon the villagers everywhere due to Li Jing's influence, feeling that there were scholars in their family who were superior. In the past, Shen Yunyao blindly worshipped and infatuated with Li Jing, and he always tried to please Li Lan everywhere. Please deliver anything good and ask them to be handed over to Li Jing. Unfortunately, Li Jing looked down on Shen Yunyao and refused her things the first time. Later on, Li Lan never handed it over and enjoyed everything herself. With so many things taking advantage of her, Li Lan gradually regarded Shen Yunyao as her maid and took her things for granted. What are you doing in a daze? If you don't get it for me now. A fool's brain is just not working well, it will take a lot of extra effort to understand. Li Lan sneered at Shen Yunyao and kept scolding. Shen Yunyao's expression on her face said, I won't give you anything, let alone tell you how to do it. Li Lan was impatient, and the feeling of the puppet leaving control was very bad. She dared to disobey and waved her hand with a brisk step, intending to slap Shen Yunyao. It is impossible to sit still and let go. Shen Yunyao was faster, so she waved and grabbed Li Lan's wrist to push her. This force only allowed Li Lan to take 2 steps back. Shen Yunyao had never rebelled before. This has further angered Li Lan. Li Lan shouted angrily, you lowly servant, how dare you push me? Shen Yunyao rolled her eyes and said, I don't have a princess's life, I have a princess's illness. I still want to follow the example of a wealthy family. I am a good citizen. With just your words, I can sue the officials. Forcing a good person to become a slave is a great crime. You scared me. My brother is a scholar, do you dare to sue me? Believe it or not, I told my brother to make him hate you, and when he becomes a high-ranking official to punish you. Li Lan couldn't help but reach forward and hit him. Shen Yunyao grabbed the pillow behind her and retaliated, not letting her succeed. She sneered contemptuously, your brother is now a scholar, not an official. Also, it's a crime to forcibly steal someone's secret recipe. If there is a criminal sister, let's see if it will affect his reputation as a scholar. Can he become an official? Surprisingly resist, I can't bear it. Upon hearing Shen Yunyao's resolute words, Li Lan stopped and couldn't help but take a step back, hesitating a bit. She doesn't want to influence her brother, she still wants to expect her brother to become a lady in the official family. There's nothing good to be saved this time, so Li Lan quickly dodged and didn't forget to speak harshly before leaving. Humph, I'll spare you this time. I warn you not to speak recklessly, otherwise I'll tear your mouth open. Sending off this annoying person, Shen Yunyao breathed a sigh of relief, as it took too much effort to talk to the troublemaker. Is Io at home? Someone came to the yard again. There it is. It turned out to be Fang, the wife of Dr. Zhang, and Shen Yunyao politely invited her to sit down. Zhang's family is close to here, and his younger siblings like to play with their younger sons of the same age. There are more frequent visits between the two families. Fang first cared about Shen Yunyao's injury before saying, do you still have ice cream at home? Your younger brother and sister are playing at my house and said you made some. Do you want to sell them? I want to buy 3. The business came, and Shen Yunyao suddenly became energized. Sell. 3 won per stick. This ice cream made with ingredients is different from sugar water popsicles. 3 won per stick is indeed expensive, equivalent to the price of a meat bun. Fang is not short of money, he directly pays to buy. Shen Yunyao asked her to go to the big box in the corner and pick it up by herself. Yesterday, Lu specially emptied a coat box, stuffed it with a cotton quilt, and had a saltpeter ice basin on the lower level to make a simple version of the refrigerator. The ice cream you made at home is really delicious, better than the ones made by the villagers. Can you still make it tomorrow? I'll come buy it. You don't need to pass it on to you in the village. Fang couldn't wait to take a bite. Do it, Auntie will be here at noon. Shen Yunyao thought to herself, retail is better than wholesale. Wholesale ice cream to the villagers, lying at home and losing money. Isn't it fragrant? It also saves the villagers from pondering imitation. It can also be passed down. Auntie, please help me tell you that there is someone in the village who wants to buy a large amount of ice cream from my house to sell and come to my house to make a reservation. Please treat Auntie to ice cream tomorrow. Fong happily agreed to go out. At noon, Lu returned with her eldest son, both sweating profusely and eagerly arrived at Shen Yunyao's house. Lu put down her backpack and placed it next to the refrigerator, excitedly shouting, "Oh, this ice cream is really good to sell. We need to make more today. Mother, since it's easy to sell, let's do wholesale. Our family sells a large quantity to the villagers, so we don't have to go out and suffer, nor do we have to compete for the villagers' jobs with ice cream, which makes people jealous." Lu's enthusiasm suddenly cooled down, and after a while she spoke up, "You're right. Just do what you say. I happen to be able to take care of you at home. However, this ice cream is not difficult to make, and they can also make it themselves at home. Are they willing to make iced cream with congee? What's our style? Who has cow milk? My mother should go and ask. It's better to make iced cream with fresh milk. That's right. No one can match our ice cream. Milk smells fishy, are you sure you want it? The head's cow just gave birth to a calf last month. I guess there's milk. I'll go ask after dinner. Yes, wait for the milk-flavored ice cream." At noon, the family had just finished their meal when some people came to ask about wholesale ice cream. Lu took time to cook congee and went to the patriarch's house to buy milk. A total of 100 ice creams were ordered this afternoon at a wholesale price of 2 won. It's not that Shen Yunyao doesn't want to do more. Currently, the materials and equipment can only do so much at most. If you sell 3 won, the villagers will still earn 1 won. This is as much as the villagers earn by selling their own sugar water popsicles for 1 penny, and it's also cost-effective. Many people want to come for wholesale but cannot place an order. Shen Yunyao asked Lu Shi to boil the milk, cool it and add it to the congee for making ice cream. This batch of ice creams in the afternoon was all mixed with milk. The hot weather during the dog days made Shen Yunyao lie in bed at night, fanning her hair and sweating profusely, suppressing the urge to take a cold shower. Although Lu Shi has been helping her wipe her body these days, it is still not as enjoyable as taking a shower herself. In the middle of the night, Shen Yunyao tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep. Unable to resist the heat, she woke up lightly and opened the door. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Exposure. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Exposure. Shen Yunyao stepped lightly and walked towards the large vat at the kitchen door, scooping up a wooden basin of water as quietly as possible. Dong! It seems that there was a sound in the direction of the Lu family's house. Will it not be discovered, will it? Shen Yunyao slowed down her breathing, stopped her steps, waited for a while, but there was no sound before she walked back to her own room and closed the door. The radiance shed by the full moon makes it unnecessary to light a light inside the house. Shen Yunyao tried to take out a small bag of shower gel from the space. These few days of practicing martial arts have obviously not been in vain, and she looked at the bag of shower gel in her hand with joy in her heart. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to wash herself clean without enough water, so she used a little shower gel and washed her body with this basin of cold water. Tisk, it's refreshing. She didn't know that a figure had left on the big tree behind Lu's house. Do you think the village girl with a broken leg can walk on the ground now? Are you sure you have a clear view? Mu Hanxiao was puzzled, feeling shocked in his heart, but his face still remained unchanged. The man in black, kneeling in the middle of the study, replied, I saw clearly under the moonlight that it was indeed that person. When carrying a basin of water, she walked steadily and didn't look injured at all. Mu Hanxiao remained silent for a moment before giving orders, keep an eye on it. If there are any abnormalities, Come back and report them, including things like today that are not normal. Let's go down. Standing on the side, Xiao Qin couldn't help but say, Master, the woman's leg was indeed broken that day. She can walk down in the next few days, which shows that she has encountered something unusual or taken some unusual medicine. If we get this medicine, our brothers won't be afraid of getting injured. Mu Hanxiao said, first observe secretly for a period of time before accepting anyone who is useful. Follow me to investigate how the night training works. Yes. Shen Yunyao didn't know she was being missed and was wandering in the space. She had been lying in bed for the past few days doing nothing but practicing martial arts, and her mental strength improved rapidly. She occasionally enters the space to try taking things, and after consuming her mental energy, she wakes up and recovers, improving faster. At present, she can carry things weighing less than 10 grams. Every night before going to bed, she would browse the space to see what she could come up with. The spirit beads continued to sleep, and the spirit stones picked up by the children were absorbed by the beads, leaving only a few dozen pieces, while the spirit stones by the river had already been picked up. The spirit stone of Zhu can only be found after she can descend to the ground. At this moment, she took out exquisite gold and silver earrings from the space. This earring is definitely worth a lot of money, but at first glance, it can be seen that it is not something that can be made by ordinary hand. It may raise suspicion. If there were an auction, it would be great. Many things in the space can be auctioned off. Go back to the town and county town to see, if not, you can get one in the future. She reluctantly glanced at the earrings and put them back into space. There is an empty treasure trove now, but it can only be watched and not used. She felt really itchy and uncomfortable in her heart. She sighed and decided to go to bed. In the morning, Shen Yunyao was awakened by the chaotic voices outside the house, and only when she called her eldest brother did she know that the person who was picking up the ice cream had arrived. Last night, Lu carried the simplified version of the refrigerator to the main room to avoid affecting Shen Yunyao's rest. So people gather in the main hall and courtyard. Not long after, the noise disappeared. The family finished breakfast. Lu packed her own ice cream in a bamboo basket and walked out of the door, crossing the bamboo basket containing bird's nest. Shen Yunyao cooks mung bean and red bean congee at home. Today we need to increase the quantity of ice cream made. Two little ones accompanied Shen Yunyao to chat, and Shen Yunyao told them stories. Approaching noon, Fang came to buy ice cream, and Shen Yunyao invited her to eat as promised. The two were chatting. An unexpected guest broke in. Shen Yunyao saw the thin and handsome young man slowly standing at the door of the house and said, "Is there anything you need?" The young man saw Shen Yunyao's calm demeanor, and his embarrassment dissipated a lot. "I want to buy ice cream, 3 pieces. Shen Yunyao asked his elder brother to collect the money and go get it. Fang's lively appearance on the side should not be too obvious, but she was a bit disappointed to see that the two had no extra communication. "My sister came to buy ice cream yesterday, why didn't she sell it to her?" The young man spoke with a hint of arrogance. Shen Yunyao looked bewildered, and upon closer inspection of the young man's face, it was similar to Li Lan. It turned out that he was Li Jing. She laughed in her heart and said, "I'll sell whoever I want. Why should I sell it to someone who comes to my door and clamors for a way to make ice cream? Is the scholar going to come and force it himself?" Li Jing frowned and looked disdainful. "My sister is not like this person. It was clearly you who wanted to find a solution yourself, but then you changed your mind. If you didn't keep your promise first, how could you falsely accuse my sister?" After he finished speaking, he suddenly realized and said, "Are you trying to use a method to attract my attention to my sister? It's not necessary. I've rejected you before, and I won't accept it in the future." What is being said is a bit off topic. It seems that Li Lan lied when she went back. Shen Yunyao suppressed the urge to roll her eyes and said, "If you don't believe me, I won't say anything." Just go back and take care of your sister, don't let her harass me. Otherwise, come and scold me once. If it's really not good, just hit me once. Big brother brought the ice cream, and after Li Jing received it, he wanted to continue talking. You. Shen Yunyao interrupted him directly and said, I don't like you now, and I won't try to please your sister in the future. Remember to tell your sister about this. Big brother, see off the guests. Li Jing's face turned blue, and she didn't know what she was angry about. She glared fiercely before leaving. Fong happily said, Yao, you finally figured it out. A twisted melon is not sweet. Just put it down early. You're right. I've been trying to figure it out for the past 2 days too. Auntie, thank you for promoting it. I'll bring back a few more ice creams later. Shen Yunyao forcibly changed the topic, but Fong quickly refused and left. Sister, I don't like Li Jing and don't want him to be his brother. In law, Shen Yunjin whispered. Shen Yunhan agreed, I don't want to either. One day, I saw him holding hands with a girl and going to the bamboo forest. My sister doesn't like him now, it's really great. Shen Yunyao didn't expect to get some gossip from her younger brother. Got it. He won't become your brother. In law. At noon, Lu returned with an excited face and said, Io, today's ice cream is selling very fast. As soon as we entered the city, someone bought it. I also met the villagers who sold our ice cream very quickly and said they wanted to continue ordering. We also sold bird's nest and bought 5 wooden pots. Shen Yunyao said, then we can make 600 pieces. We can earn 1 or 2 taels of silver a day. After deducting the cost, it's over 1 or 2 taels a day. Why didn't anyone sell ice cream before? I used to dare not think about it. Every family makes ice cream, and no one is willing to invest. Isn't that why no one sells this kind of ice cream? The two of them were talking excitedly, but they heard someone coming outside the courtyard. Sisters, do you still have ice cream at home? Give me a few. This voice is very familiar. Shen Yunyao pursed her lips and muttered to Lu, Uncle Nyang has such thick skin. The relationship between the two families has become strained, and you can still come and take advantage of it. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Noodle Pressing Machine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Noodle Pressing Machine. Lu looked coldly at Zhao, who had just entered the courtyard, and said, Sister-in-law, how many do you need for a 3-won coin? What? What else does our family need for money? Zhao chuckled twice and began to scold, my parents and I just passed away. We separated for just a few months, and you don't recognize our family anymore. Your man is not at home, and your big brother is helping us in the field. Did you ask for money from you? If it's a family, then I'll go to your vegetable garden to pick vegetables later. Big brother didn't ask for any money to help, but I didn't treat your family unfairly. I'll give you a lot of food. Zhao coughed lightly, her eyes rolled, and she said sternly, oh my sister. In law is like a mother. Your every sentence is contradicting me, and you still take my sister. In law seriously. Lu knew that she was feeling guilty and couldn't stand her words. She began to use her seniority to suppress others and was too lazy to deal with her. Sister-in-law, today I'll give you 5 ice creams without your money. I'll treat you to it. If you come back later, you'll have to spend money to buy them. However, go get them for your aunt. Taking the ice cream happily, Zhao's goal today was to achieve it. No matter what she said, we'll talk about it later. Sisters, then I'll leave first, she said. Lu suppressed her anger and returned to Shen Yunyao's house. Shen Yunyao advised, Mother, why are you so angry? Don't ruin yourself because of the annoying popularity. Who will be proud of you then? Lu took a deep breath and said, You're right, think about it too. Why hasn't your father replied yet? Even if he hasn't replied, he should have replied. Those who served in the village for 3 years have all replied. Now in June, according to the theory, last autumn was the time when your father returned home. It has been almost a year on this road, so it's time to walk home. Lu suppressed the tears in her eyes, thinking wildly in her heart, wondering if anything happened to the head of the family. Shen Yunyao said, "Mother, don't think too much. I believe my father will come back safely. No matter what we think, we can't get any news. It's better to find a way to earn more money. If we go to find my father in the future, we will also have some expenses on the way." "You're right. You should earn more money. Selling ice cream can last for more than 2 months, and according to the current market situation, you can save about 80.90 taels of money. That's really a lot of money. I'll go cook." Lu didn't say that. The children at home are still young, how could they possibly get out of the house? Seeing her mother hurriedly leaving, Shen Yunyao sighed. In this era, there isn't even a phone, so it's not so easy to find someone. Her talent is of little use here. How can we make smart machines in an era without electricity or machines? She knows a lot of things, but she still can't reasonably articulate these abilities. She can actually think of more machines and small tools that are not powered on, to save her mother's energy. I remember she saw a manual noodle press online before, and she could try making wooden versions. In the future, when it gets cold, we can still sell noodles. There are no carpentry tools available now, but it is possible for the carpenters in the village to make parts and assemble them themselves. We cannot use drawings to explain the source of the paper. Shen Yunyao could only use the rags at home to cut out the shape of the parts. "Sister, what are you doing?" Shen Yunyao was instructed by his sister to move around curiously and leaned in. Shen Yunyao explained to him the dimensions of the parts represented by a few pieces of cloth, and then said, "You can take these pieces of cloth to the village carpenter later and have him make them. They must be made of hardwood that can be polished smooth, no matter what kind of wood. Ask the carpenter how to calculate the labor cost." Shen Yunyao took note of what his sister said and asked his mother for 10 yuan before going out. Shen Yunyao had people work on several parts every day for 5 consecutive days, and finally managed to gather enough parts for the noodle press. On the day when the noodle press was formed, Shen Yunyao really wanted to eat noodles. The people in the village are poor. They only eat mantou on holidays and festivals, and occasionally eat noodles. Shen Yunyao's family never expected to have eaten noodles. Since selling bird's nest and ice cream, Lu's money bag has become bloated, and he is willing to buy some rice and white noodles to improve the food for his own children. She doesn't buy much, usually she makes goosebump soup. Shen Yunyao was also speechless. The cheap mother couldn't bear to cook delicious food, so she had to eat more good food and earn more money. Shen Yunhan excitedly shook the handle of the noodle press and said, "Sister, you're amazing. Can this thing really be made delicious?" Shen Yunyao. "You'll know in a little while." Lu has heard her eldest daughter say that this thing can make money, and she is very tolerant in using white dough for experiments. When she saw the noodle press pressing out the dough and then the thin noodles, her heart was filled with passion. It was all money. She quickly calmed down and said, "Will that carpenter make this thing and sell it himself?" Shen Yunyao proudly exclaimed, "Of course not. Sister is so smart, how could anyone take advantage of it? The carpenters have been making parts these days, and even the cloth that guides them has been brought back. Sister finally assembled it. No one can do it." After listening to her son's words, Lu felt relieved. This thing is too conspicuous. Even if we use it, we need to keep it hidden. You are not allowed to go out and talk about it. The children nodded obediently. At noon, a bowl of noodles soaked in cold water was enjoyed by everyone. Little did they know that their every move was reported to Mu Hanxiao that evening. Noodle press machine. Did you see the production process with your own eyes? Mu Hanxiao was shocked and unconsciously raised his tone. The man in black replied, "I see." The woman skillfully pieced together the parts. Mu Hanxiao didn't expect that the girl she met by chance would give her a surprise. Such capable people are not at all like ordinary rural women. The broken leg can quickly recover and a noodle press can be made. She seemed to be hidden in a mist, only revealing her figure. Even further observation made it impossible to see through, making it impossible to take another step forward and see who she really was. Mu Hanxiao ordered, "Keep an eye on her. If her life is in danger, you can take action to save her. Go back. He wants to see what else she can do, so she can't afford to lose." Even with such a warning, he didn't think a village maid could be in any danger. "Yes." The man in black answered with his mouth, but he was surprised in his heart. He didn't expect the master to attach so much importance to that village girl. He didn't say he would protect her before, so it seems he needs to stay alert and keep an eye on her. After practicing spiritual power for a month, Shen Yunyao was finally able to hold up to 30 grams of things. Every day whenever she has time to be alone, she takes in and takes out things from space until her mental energy is exhausted, and then runs her cultivation to recover. This process has boosted her mental strength rapidly. She occasionally indulges in small packaged snacks alone in the space to satisfy her craving. The days of pretending to be sick are difficult to endure, but it also gives her more time to practice and strive to obtain more things in the space. Since wearing it for over a month, my family has been eating vegetables without any meat or fish. Shen Yunyao, who is greedy, wants to eat meat. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Reform of Business. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Reform of Business. The Liu family manages money at home. Even though they have earned a lot of money during this period, they may have become accustomed to frugality and have never thought of spending more on food. I've been quite busy lately, and Shen Yunyao didn't really think about eating meat. But now, when she thinks about it, she can't bear to eat meat for so long anymore. The free meat in the countryside is not just fish in the river, but also wild animals in the mountains. It just takes some time to get it home. On that day, Shen Yunyao specially made a fishing rod and asked her eldest brother to go fishing for a fish. Now she can't personally go and get some prey back, prepare the tools, maybe she can use them in a while. For her small physique, drawing a bow is laborious, and using a continuous crossbow is easier. Before her eldest brother returned from fishing, she cut out the parts of the crossbow with cloth. "Sister, today this fish is quite big, it can weigh 2 or 3 pounds, and I caught 2. Shen Yunyao carried a bucket of 2 large grass carp and shouted as soon as he entered the courtyard door. Upon hearing his eldest brother's words, Shen Yunyao's eyes lit up and he propped up his arm, shouting, "Then one of these 2 fish is steamed and the other is made into fish soup. Clean the fish belly, especially the black film, and remove it. Otherwise, it will smell fishy." "Got it, sister." "Xiaohao, is your mother at home?" A thin and frail woman in her 30s stood at the entrance of the courtyard and asked Shen Yunyao, who was busy in the courtyard. "Mother, Aunt Huang is here," he shouted inside. Lu Shi was cooking congee for iced cream in the kitchen. Hearing this, she quickly came out. "Do you want to take today's iced cream?" "How much?" Mrs. Huang had just entered the yard when 6 people followed in. Mrs. Huang said, "You don't need to make my portion of ice cream for tomorrow. I'll take all the ones I ordered yesterday." The other few people also said they didn't need to do tomorrow's work and took today's portion. What's wrong with this? Lu felt that these people's attitudes were a bit strange, not as enthusiastic as before. Nowadays, many people are making ice cream, which is cheaper than yours. Don't mind us not buying yours. Who doesn't want to earn more? Yeah, a few days ago I asked you if you wanted to lower the price, and you said that the cost is there and it can't be lowered. I've also asked. Your ice cream has been selling well since then. Other brands have been appearing one after another, but now they can't sell well. Who doesn't want to earn more, but now there are always about 10 or so items that need to be sold at a low price. Losing more than 10 when a day is unbearable. A few people were talking and shouting loudly. Lu knew their caution, either they really didn't want to buy any more, or they came together to pressure and lower the price. In fact, she also noticed that many people have been following the trend and making their own ice cream, so it's time to consider selling cold noodles as mentioned by Io. She looked bitter and said, "The cost is here. It can't be reduced. Thank you sisters for taking care of my family. In this case, my family will not be sold from tomorrow." Huang and the others advised for a while, but seeing that Lu was determined, they stopped persuading and left one after another. "My mother has decided to sell the cold noodles you mentioned. There is a dock 3 miles away from our village, and the town is 5 miles away from the village. Where should we go?" After seeing off the people, Lu sat by Shen Yunyao's bed and said. Shen Yunyao had never been out of the village before, so she didn't know how the foot traffic was in these two places. She had to say, "Let's go to the dock first. If it doesn't sell well, then go to the town." Lu said, "You're right. I've been to that dock before, and there are quite a few boats and many people resting there. I just don't know if there's any place to set up a stall. I'll go over and take a look in the afternoon. In fact, we can sell a large number of noodle press machines or directly sell dry noodles at home, but it's hard to say if there is a market." Shen Yunyao thought of this. Times and markets are different, and only by trying water can we know market demand. Lu resolved a concern and walked lightly out to cook. Taking a sip of milky white fish soup and a sip of tender and smooth fish meat satisfies Shen Yunyao's taste buds. Shen Yunhan and Shen Yunjin, 2 little dolls, were eating the fish and meat that their mother had selected for them, dancing excitedly and eating non-stop. When Shen Yunyao was fishing, they helped catch earthworms and make bait by the river, which was also a credit to them. "The fish that has passed my hand is fragrant." After eating their fill, the 2 little ones couldn't wait to take out their fans and sweat profusely while drinking soup. Shen Yunyao felt inexplicably pleased when she saw the twins shaking their fans in unison, making her feel a bit hot. If only there were an electric fan. She is considering the possibility of making a mechanical fan. If water is used as power, it is possible to build a large water tank, but adding water every day is quite laborious. Her home is by the village, close to the river, and only a little over 20 steps away. Make a large water wheel and put it in the river, so that your family can make more water-powered things, such as stone mills, threshers, etc. You can also divert water to your home, saving the danger of fetching water by the river. However, in this way, her home will become a scenic spot in all corners of the country, and she will also become a celebrity. It's not a good thing that she has changed too much in a short period of time. It's best to change slowly, so that people can see it without being abrupt. Sisters and sisters, oh my, everyone is eating. Your family has made a fortune and eaten all the fish, Zhao said with a strange tone. We are a family that breaks bones and tendons. If we make a fortune, we have to pull some of our own people. Don't be like those white-eyed wolves. Upon hearing Zhao's gentle and sharp voice, Shen Yunyao shuddered and developed goosebumps all over her body. She really doesn't like this aunt. It doesn't matter if she has thick skin, mainly because her voice sounds uncomfortable. Speaking of which, Auntie has a dog-like nose. Whenever there is anything urgent at home, she can come over immediately. Shen Yunyao thought to herself, isn't Auntie sending someone to specifically monitor her own home? She really thinks about it. After Zhao's daughter Shen Yunyan left the temple, she listened very calmly to her aunt's words, but kept an eye on the movements of the Shen Yunyao family every day, waiting for a favorable opportunity to retaliate. When she found out about the situation here, she told her mother. Uncle's family has 2 sons and 1 daughter, and Uncle's family has 1 son and 1 daughter. I heard that my aunt's first child was a son back then, and she often mocked her own mother who had not conceived for 3 years after marriage as a hen that did not lay eggs. As the eldest daughter.in.law, Zhao always wanted to suppress her sister.in.law. Seeing the third family make a living, she felt a little jealous. Shen Yunyao kindly reminded, this fish was caught by the big brother from the river. Aunt wants to eat it, but there are still plenty in the river. Lu also defended herself, sister-in-law, didn't you see that they didn't buy my ice cream just now? It's only been selling for a few days now. Sigh, all the money I earned has been eaten. My Yao girl still owes me a lot of money for her medicine. Sister-in-law, can you lend me some? Zhao just came to hear if those few people had any opportunities to make money when they came here. Now, when Lu suggested borrowing money, he immediately wanted to slip away. Oh my, do you still need to borrow money from your family? I still have a lot of debt at home. I haven't fed my pigs yet, so I'll leave first. Zhao walked out as she spoke, and soon there was no trace left. Lu cut her throat and said, I knew it was impossible for anyone to pick something out of her hand. The whole family was eating in Shen Yunyao's house, leaving only Lu and Shen Yunyao to finish their meal. Shen Yunyao took advantage of Shen Yunhao's presence and quickly said, Yunhao, after you finish your meal, give these pieces of cloth to the carpenter to make parts, or use hardwood. I'll tell you the size after you finish eating. Okay, sister, what are you doing this time? Shen Yunyao responded excitedly, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. End of this chapter.